This week, we're studying the general characteristics of the members of the kingdom fungi, as well as their classification, the diversity, and the life cycles different types of fungi may show. And talking about diversity, this is going to be a very diverse group of eukaryotes. Eukaryotes meaning that these organisms have cells with a nucleus and with membranous organelles. And you can see in this illustration, for example, different types of mushroom type organisms, what we can find when we go outdoors, a park, a wooded trail, like I make reference to in some of the discussions for this week. Some are going to look like shelves. This is a shelf fungi you see often growing on dead wood. Here's the morels. There's going to be truffles and many other varieties that can be edible. So it is estimated that about 100,000 species have been named, described, identified, but scientists estimate that about as 1.5 million different species of fungi may be alive on Earth today. So if you decide to become a mycologist, which is a scientist who specializes on the scientific study of fungi, there is a good chance you may end up discovering a new species in very shortly into your career. Now, fungi can be really amazing. For example, the largest organism on Earth is believed to be a fungus. There is a type of mushroom that grows in the state of Oregon, the golden mushroom, that has been discovered to live in as many as 2,000 acres of land, and is probably arguably as old as 3,000 years old. And because of their diversity and some of the unique features we're about to learn, fungi can be interesting organisms to study. Let's consider, first of all, their nutrition. All fungi are going to be heterotrophic, meaning they have to eat something else. Now, how they acquire the nutrients is going to be unique to mushrooms. Among the heterotroph multicellular organisms, fungi will be the only ones that absorb their food. They must first break down more molecules, like macromolecules of the organisms they're consuming, and then absorb them through their plasma membranes. Animals, if you think about them, they're going to be actually consuming, they're going to be eating their food, but mushrooms absorb their food. A lot of digestion also happens inside of their cells. So they complete their digestion, they do on the outside with digestion they do intracellularly within the cells. Now, there are going to be different types of lifestyles for a fungus. Some of them are going to be decomposers, and that's going to be one of the main contributions of the members of this kingdom to life. Excuse me for a moment. Sorry about that. And others are going to be parasites. Parasitism is a type of symbiosis where one member of the relationship benefits at the expense of another one, the host. But some fungi are going to be mutualists, meaning that they are going to engage in a win-win situation. They're going to be providing a benefit to the host on which they live. And we will be making reference shortly to these mutualistic types of relationships. One other important detail about fungi that makes them unique is going to be how the body is formed. When you look at a fungus like a mold or a mushroom, what you're looking at is going to be only the tip of the iceberg. The majority of the organism or the body of a fungus is going to be something that you don't see. It is hidden from view. The body of a fungus is known as a mycelium. So you can see here in this illustration, all of this is part of the mycelium, and we don't see most of it. They're just showing a small sample of the mycelium for this fungus. And you will see that there are going to be all of these thread-like, very thin filaments structures known as hyphae. Hypha is one, hyphae will be many. And here's a micrograph of the hyphae of fungi. And so where do you find all the hyphae, the mycelium of a fungus? Like I mentioned before, it's going to be growing underground, or it's going to be growing inside of the dead tree where a fungus may be growing. And so it's going to be hidden from you. What we see typically in a fungus is going to be the reproductive structures. Those reproductive bodies are going to be important in the process of classifying fungi into the different phyla. So that's one unique characteristic of fungi. They have bodies called mycelia made up of many, many threads known as hyphae. Another unique characteristic of fungi is going to be that the cell walls, the cells are surrounded by a cell wall, it is made of chitin. And so let me tell you why this is unique. You may remember, for example, that the cell walls of plants are going to provide protection. So plants have cell walls. Multicellular algae also have cell walls, but they are made usually of cellulose in the case of plants and multicellular algae. But when you look at fungi, their cell walls are made of chitin. And then you may say again, hey, wait a moment. I remember learning about chitin in a major's animal biology class, because arthropods can strengthen their exoskeleton. When you think about a crab, when you think about a lobster or an insect, the hardness of the outer cover is in part because of chitin. But that's the outer covering. It's not the cells of the animal. Animal cells don't have cell walls. And so a cell wall that is made of chitin is definitely a unique characteristic of fungi. Another detail we can appreciate about fungi is that, yes, we've learned that the bodies, the mycelia, are made of many hyphae, but there are different types of hyphae. Some of them are going to have like partial divisions between their nuclei, and they're going to be like a type of divider known as a septum. Septum is one, septa are many. You may recognize we have a septum that divides our right nostril from left nostril. You may remember that our heart also has a septum. And so these dividers between the cells within hypha are going to be known as septa. So other hyphae in some fungi are going to lack those dividers, those septa, and they're going to be known as cenocytic hyphae. So we have two kinds, the septate, which means they have septa separating one cell from another, and it's going to be the ones, there's going to be also hyphae that don't have the septa or cenocytic hypha. Other specialized forms of hyphae will be like the ones shown in this aquatic fungus, where hyphae makes like loops to trap prey. In this case, the prey happens to be a nematode worm. Then there's going to be other modified hyphae that have the ability to move, grow into the cell walls of plant tissues, and then they're going to be forming this association I mentioned to you before, which can be beneficial for both the plant and the fungus. I'm going to enlarge this image also momentarily just to show you one detail I want you to appreciate. So here is the hypha. Here's an extension of the hypha that has penetrated through the cell wall of this cell. But if you look at this yellow line, that's going to be the plasma membrane. The hypha doesn't go through the plasma membrane, only through the cell wall. And that is a characteristic of a type of mycorrhiza, a type of fungus and plant relationship that I'm about to talk to you about right now. So myco, in this word, mycorrhizae, myco means fungus, rhizae means roots. So mycorrhizae is a relationship between certain kinds of fungi and the roots of some plants. There are going to be two kinds of mycorrhizae. There are going to be those that stay only on the outside of the cells, like you see here, ectomycorrhizae. Yeah, they may make it through the root, but they only grow in the spaces between cells, in between cell walls. Arbuscular mycorrhizae will be different. When you see arbuscular mycorrhizae, you will see the type of Haustoria hypha, where extensions of the hypha can go through the cell wall, but remember, not through the plasma membrane. What both of these have in common, ectomycorrhizal fungi and arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, also known as endomycorrhizae because it goes inside, is that they're going to be forming a type of symbiotic relationship known as mutualism. So how does it usually go? It goes like this. The fungus with the extensive network of hyphae is really good at observing, collecting water from the surroundings. Plants sometimes have their roots living in soil where water is limited, but plants need water for photosynthesis. So what the mycorrhizae will be doing, the fungus, part of the relationship, is going to be collecting water and sharing it with the plant, uploading it into the roots. What does the plant provide to the fungus? The plant does photosynthesis and produces organic compounds like sugars and amino acids. And so the plant root will be providing those sugars and amino acids to the fungus. That's how the win-win relationship goes for the fungus and the root of a plant in mycorrhizae. I will make a different video to talk to you about the life cycles of fungi, because that is also a detail that I want to introduce before you get deep into the study of fungi.